Now, this evening's presentation is sponsored by the Woodside Arts and Culture Committee, a group of like-minded individuals here in the town of Woodside who once a month select a nice presentation, get people out of their home, come into Independence Hall here and enjoy a presentation, whether it be about writing like this evening, or music, or art. We have quite a variety of presenters who have come to give our presentations, so we appreciate you being here this evening. Now, this evening's presentation is being done by the Wordside, not Woodside, but Wordside Writers Group, there are local individuals here who have given the opportunity here this evening to share some of their work. Now, writing is not something that comes easy to most people. Mark Twain said that getting the right word, not just a word, but the right word, 'tis the difference between a lightning bug and lightning. So this evening, all of these presenters have made sure that they have selected the right word to present for you this evening. Now, introducing the group this evening will be David, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Tom, Elizabeth, and all the members of the committee. Thank you for inviting us, and to all of you for attending. The Wordside Writers members explore all forms of written expression, including but not limited to novels, nonfiction, poetry books, scripts and plays, music and art. Published and aspiring authors come together, helping each other enhance their writing during exercises, readings, and feedback, while sharing experience such as navigating the path to publication, all within a supportive, non-judgmental environment. Our speakers today will present sections of their books or poems or stories. I hope you will enjoy them.
My name is Gitia Bosi, and I'm going to read one of my poems from my published book. To open eyes to see things in the material world, that is not the complete sight of eyes. In reality, it is infatuation. To look at and see beyond the seen, the touchable, is to reach and feel the feelings in heart. And to use the color of nature, bring heart's imagination to life, to express those feelings. Create imagination with colorful words coming from the soul of a poet becomes one with the soul of a poem, created by the poet's emotions, from the soul of the poet, to show in picture coming from the soul, to proclaim human feelings in the words of heart, for others to understand those hidden realities, is the real understanding of seeing without naked eyes, of knowledge within the breast. My poem does not talk about human emotions, hate, fear, or love, to those who have restrictions to the body of nature only. The reality of the truth in this world is the shadow of existence of the reality in the non-material world. To discover them in the imaginations or the dreams, with the sight of sense, with the eyes of eyeless. The sight of heart side by side with the sight of intellect, mind, intuition, will explain the mystical secrets of the world, will appear in front of eyes like hidden fruit from the flower of the fruit tree, waiting to appear in front of eyes.
Hello, my name is Penny Thompson. I write historical fiction. San Francisco, pre-earthquake, 1906. "Don't make me do this," Red yells out, raising his head, revealing his deep brown eyes. Unshaven, grinding his teeth, Red spits his chew off to the side in a slimy brown stream. He wipes his chin with his red handkerchief and stuffs it back in his pocket, ready for the next spit. With gravel in his guts, he yells, "Don't make me do this." His skin is rough as leather with lines to match. He stands his ground, not moving a muscle. "Coward!" I yell back at him with all the courage I can muster. My fingers tighten, my heart races, my breath fills my chest. "You're a scared old man." I'll say it again. "Don't make me do this. You know what will happen." I'll give you one last chance to back down, dang it. "Lily-bellied lizard, you're just a afraid old man." I tighten my grip. I lean into my words. I would not, could not let him hear my voice quiver. "Coward!" "Okay, I warned you." Red turns his head and spits one more time. Squares himself off, twists his boots into the dry brown dirt, and gets a good foothold. His hand hovers over his peacemaker. He turns slightly to the side. Our eyes lock in silence, falls over us. Fast as lightning, Red slips his peacemaker from his holster, swings around and fires a single shot. We are off. I atop my buckskin cream puff, and Charles rides his steady black kettle. We race the course around the far corners of my property, the route we have raced many times. I take the lead, whipping my horse as fast as she can go. "Hya! Hya!" I scream, kicking and whipping my horse. I hear Black Kettle's heavy hoofprints pounding the dirt behind me. Cream Puff and I tear down the long, straight dirt road to the main gate around the front pasture. With a sharp turn up the hill, we climb the deer trails. The horses slip climbing up the hills. Rocks break free and tumble down the hill. I reach the corner of the property and jerk the reins hard to the right. Cream Puff gives out a little whinny as we head for the trees. I have the advantage of being smaller when it's time to slip through the trees. My heels kick wildly with every stride. I hear Charles' whip snap as he climbs the hills. There is no slowing down, only going faster. Every time I scream, the damp air fills my lungs. We weave in and out of the trees. I dodge the low hanging branches that whip at my face. I lean lower in the saddle to flow along with my horse. I swing my arm high in the air, my saddle whip coming down with every stride. The next turning point is the old barn stacked with bales of hay. Cream Puff gives out little grunts as we make our way down the hill. I pull the reins to the right and to the left as we go down the rocky hillside, while the brush scrapes her legs and my boot heels. I hear Charles and Black Kettle behind us, battling the trees. We stumble down and off of the hillside. When we regain our balance and footing, I see the open barns just ahead. With not a moment to lose, we are off and running as fast as we can. The ground is drier here in the open where the sun has baked the dirt. We round the barn to the long, dry road to the main gate, the finish line. Red leans over, watching us to see who comes around the barn first. He jumps and waves his red handkerchief in one hand and his old hat in the other. Cream Puff stays steady, breathing hard, her nostrils flaring. Her mane dances in the wind. Dust flies from every footfall that she leaves. But once again, I hear the thundering hooves, a black kettle behind us. I kick Cream Puff harder, focus my gaze ahead. Cream Puff is giving it her all. There's nothing more she gives. I watch in frustration as Charles and Black Kettle fly past us and leaves us in a cloud of dust. Red waves his hat wildly in the air as we fly past him. He runs after us, hitting his hat on his leg. I told you, Miss Woods. This isn't our first rodeo, Miss Woods. I told you what would happen every time.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maria DeVito. My book is called Agent Jack Hunter, Private Investigator. I will read you a passage. I sat like a fool, alone and helpless. Do something. I thought this was my chance to free myself, and I bounced the chair up and down, hoping it would break into pieces and free me. My attempts failed. I lowered my head, disappointed with myself. In making my decision to save Naomi and Rachel, I did not include Inspector Monday in the scenario or get any of the backup I needed to rescue and save Naomi and Rachel from the cruelty of Drool and his gang of criminal degenerates. Why did I try to be some hero that I am clearly not? I am nothing but a fool, I said aloud. I heard a soft little voice coming from behind me, the sweet voice of Rachel. You are my hero, investigator. It's me, Rachel. I came to help you, she says softly in a whisper. I lifted my head to look at her. The child tried to untie the knots that bound me, loosening them a little, not enough to release me from the chair. Good, Rachel. Stand back, I say. I pressed my feet hard on the floor to tip the chair over. I was sure it would break when it fell backwards onto the floor. The chair did not break. My body lay pressed on the floor, tied to the chair. I struggled to free myself. Rachel tried to help, but it was an impossible task for her little size. She showed courage, but no might. Rachel, go. You must save yourself with your sister and escape together away from here. Run, get help, I say. My sister is on the phone talking with the police. They are on their way here, says Rachel, smiling. Behind us, Drool stood in the doorway, listening to everything we said. He reached out, grabbing Rachel with his powerful arms and wrapped them around her. You little brat, you're my ticket out of here, says Drool. Look at the big, brave, worthless investigator lying helpless, flat on his back, stuck in that chair, he said, laughing at me. Outside in the courtyard, Trixie, Bobo, and Chipper were fighting, unaware the police were on the way. Drool, Rachel, and I could hear the police sirens approaching, getting closer and closer to the mansion. Drool pulled Rachel's arm, tugging her away from the study, down the hallway, through the kitchen, and out the back door, exiting the property. No, let me go, cries Rachel. Drool dragged Rachel along a dirt path into the meadow behind the borders of the mansion's estate. I kept wrestling with my ties until they finally loosened, freeing me. Rachel needed rescuing. I had to help her. The police cars pulled up the mansion driveway. I could hear Inspector Monday's voice speaking on the bullhorn. Put your hands up, says Monday, demanding Trixie, Bobo, and Chipper to surrender. You're all under arrest, shouts Monday. I ran through the hallway, out the exit of the mansion, chasing after Drool. Rachel and the madman ran down the path deep into the meadow to the water's edge. Drool forcing the brave little girl, pulling her along with him. Rachel couldn't get freed. She was no match for the evildoer, child napper.
Hello, I am Morgan Barrows, and I will be reading a passage. It's called Black Hole. Traveling through the stars, there is nothing and everything. A large black void, both hot and cold, the beginning and the end of time. Yet it is full of life. Life so unlike ours, we don't think of them as life. These beings, celestial bodies, have lifespans. They live and grow and then die. But the difference between their death and ours is when we die, we don't sometimes create a hole in the space-time continuum. Black holes themselves, in theory, have a lifetime. They suck up the universe over eons and then release it back. She was traveling alone in her spaceship, solar systems flying past in blips. She was looking for a black hole, one to fall into. The vastness of them fascinated her. The mystery surrounding them thrilled her and filled her with questions and yearnings. What secrets did they hold? She found one. Alpha 89, the scientists on Earth called it. She called it Portal. Closely, she flew towards it, staring into it, through it, beyond the beyond, the light bending and breaking, encircling and surrounding it, both a disk and a crown, encapsulating the endless black pit. She put on her suit, a bulky gray thing that caught at her joints. As she hobbled towards the ejection port, she had no second thoughts. She did not think of Earth, of family and friends far, far away. She did not think of beauty and the universe, where the countless planets undiscovered, teeming with life. The only thought she had was the abyss. With one last look at the ship, she hit the ejection button, and out she flew. Was it a coincidence? She hadn't hit anything on her way there. She fell softly, like a stone to the bottom of a pool. Coincidence? Miracle? Divine intervention? Who knows? Once she fell, she stretched, her feet traveling light years beyond her body. She lost all feeling in her toes, and then her legs, and then her abdomen. Working its way up her body, she felt herself disappear.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason, and I want to share a portion of my first comic book series titled Welcome to Infinity. Jane and the Johnsters get to the mission. They get out of the car. Jane invites the Johnsters to come inside. He gives them a quick tour around it and assigns their guest rooms, shows them the amenities, including wardrobe with unique designer made clothes, and then he excuses himself and tells them good night. Meanwhile, youngsters get out of their guest rooms and go down the aisle to the guest living room and talk about what just happened. Enzo says, "Guys, don't you find it strange? It seems he knows everything about us. I mean, I got my favorite dinner, clothes, and shoes with my own measures, and I found the bed and the other amenities the way I like it. Sandro, say something." Sandro accepted him. "Look, guys, we're jumping into quick assumptions about him without even asking him in the first place about this. He may know things about us very closely. I admit it. I find it strange, at least. But I still want to give him a chance to explain himself what it's all about. And then Roy interrupts. I have the same way of thinking as Sandra. I know. I was the one who introduced him to you. And Sandro, you were the one who asked him to invite us to his mansion tonight. However, I think the best idea is talking about this tomorrow, once we get to the RV in Aptos. He probably has a good reason about this. Then, I think this conversation is over for tonight. Remember, we have classes tomorrow morning, and to do some touring and early afternoon. Well, guys, show up and let's go through the day tomorrow. And then we will ask Jay about all of this. Once they finish the discussion, the guys say their goodnight to each other, and they went right away to the guest rooms. Meanwhile, the girls decided to stay a little bit longer and started their own conversation about the same situation. Kara speaks out. I like the way he's mentioned, and all of this stuff around him. But I cannot get this out of his head. Probably, he had some secret places around him, and we may find the answers about what the guys are looking for. Marna steps in. I second that, Kara. I am also curious about what Jay is up to. I also think he hides a lot of things from us. Something particular about him when he was introduced by Ro. It was like he approached us in purpose, like he knew it somehow we would befriend him. I want to tell him who he is and why he invited us here. I mean, look at his mansion. He could host big parties here every Friday, but he only invited us. There is little we know about him. I have searched about him lately in the internet, but there isn't much or anything about him. We may search for clues around the mansion, and the insomnia interrupts. Come on, you're missing the big picture here. Remember what Rod said, we have classes and some touring to do tomorrow. We don't have time to play detective around here. It's for the best to end the conversation here. Go to our guest rooms and go to sleep. Once we finish the touring in the early afternoon, we will have the chance to ask him about everything we want to know. That's why we will go with him to Aptos. Once we get there and we meet up at the living room, then we will ask him and everything will be clear. Again, let's go to sleep. Then Kara goes on her way to search around Jay around the pension. And finally gets up in searching any clues or hints about Jay. And she also goes to sleep. Once he watches her going to her guest room, then he proceeds to go to his room and hibernate at his lap. Thank you very much.
My name is Ed Gray. I'm a new writer, and I write from memories of my experiences. Marvelous, Each morning at 8:30, I stood waiting for the elevator to ride down 32 floors on my way to work. The building was 40 stories, and I often wondered who occupied the 40th floor. The door slid open, and as I entered, I noticed a shiny black man to my right. He was as black as the night and as clean as the ebony keys on a piano. He was Marvin Hagler. In person, 5'9", 160 pounds, with the look of a predator. He spoke not a word, and his stare was intimidating. Somehow I knew to look ahead. It became a habit, being there each morning at 8:30 for my ride and meeting. He was accompanied by two unpleasant-looking dudes, bodyguards for sure. As I entered the elevator, I slightly cocked my head, but said nothing. The champ acknowledged me with a twinkle in his eye. The silence was palpable. These fast elevators are otherworldly, quick and motionless. It seemed like many minutes rushed by in 10 seconds. Me and the champ were bonding. This went on for several months, and when we missed each other, it seemed unnatural. In a strange way, I adopted his in-your-face posture and silent presence. It was time for me to move on. Boston was not my town, and I was glad to be leaving, a bit nervous, tentative, but resigned. On my last day, I stood in the hall waiting, not to go to work, but to see the champ for the last time. Whoosh! The car came down. The doors opened, and there he stood, still as stone and black as the night, shiny ebony dome and jewel-like eyes cutting through space. I stepped on the elevator, averted my eyes, and stepped back. Suddenly the champ lifted his head, and his eyelids jumped, and then it was over. I had arrived. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for showing up. My name's Gitia. I'm a Wordside writer. Today is the birthday of my father. God rest his soul. I would like to dedicate these readings to him this evening. Ego notes. Ergo ego. Ego says, I am. Simply, I am, and I am not you. Love says, I am, and you are. Simply, you also are. Ego lives here, house and home. I am om to ego, ergo, ego. Mama, our impulse to create lives. As co-creators, our efforts, verbal, nonverbal, emanate daily to transform this world. We influence becoming. As each choice changes, possibility cocoons a new world. Thank you.
My name is Dorothea McCowan, and I've written a book on grandmother wisdom called Heartwise, and I'm going to read you a wisdom story.
Hold the mic up.
I can still see Irma Jean dancing as she moved through the house with her shoulders rolling and her hips swaying. The woman could groove. Her motto was, "Why walk when I can dance?" Rhythm was in her bones and dancing an extension of her soul. As I grew, I found rhythm in my bones too. In her home, music flowed like a stream. I would at times catch Irma Jean turning up the volume when R&B singers like Marvin Gaye or Etta James would come on the radio. This music transported her to a place only she knew, a place where her husband wrapped his arms around her, arms that protected her, arms that carried strength when she felt like she had none. Music took her back to that place where they danced in the kitchen, whispering in each other's ears. It took her back to that place where they tasted the same food, eating his homemade spaghetti. A place where they shared the same breath and the same story. Music took her back to a place so deep that when she danced, these memories became alive in her heart. Once I watched Irma Jean move to the music on the radio. Her big blue eyes caught mine and she smiled, reaching her arms out to hug me. I noticed her eyes welled up with tears. "Grandma, why are you crying?" I asked her as she squeezed me with her big arms. "Oh, baby, I was just thinking of your granddaddy." I knew then, as I know now, when music moves you, it's like falling in love. You don't have a choice. I remember Irma Jean telling me that my grandfather, Cleveland, was the only one for her. These were no empty words, married for 24 years and with 5 children. As she shared her stories, her eyes would swell with emotion, and I can feel her heart opening. I can feel the vibration of her love. I looked at their portrait hanging on the wall. Cleveland looked slightly serious. I wanted to know what he was thinking behind those earthy brown eyes. His tight, dark, curly hair was shaped into an afro, and his goatee was perfectly trimmed. Irma Jean's eyes glistened in calmness that was lifted by her elegant smile. Her brown hair with tints of red flowed long over her left breast. I liked this portrait. They looked strong together. Their love reminded me of Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell singing, "Ain't no mountain high enough to keep me from getting to you, babe." Back in Chicago, where they met, I could imagine Cleveland, black and handsome, Irma Jean, white and stunning, walking down the streets hand in hand. They were an interracial couple in a time when it wasn't socially accepted, but they didn't care. She always said, "We loved each other, it's that simple." And no matter what people must have thought as they strolled down the streets, no one could deny their connection. My grandparents walked with the spirit of "Stand by me," lighting up each step. And among their lips they sang, "At last my love has come along." When I hear Georgia on my mind, I feel my grandparents. Or Sunday kind of love, I feel them. I feel these songs. I listen to that old school slow music and I feel their love. A love that melts from the inside out and moves the soul. After Cleveland's death, Irma Jean's heart was beyond broken, yet she never lost sight of him. Her love didn't fade as the years rolled on, but only grew stronger. He was very much alive through Irma Jean's many stories, and all of this gave me the chance to know my grandfather, considering he died before I could really meet him. As a little girl, I came to feel him looking out for me as my angel, especially when I would listen to music. As Irma Jean and I would say our nightly prayers, we'd give an extra thank you to Granddaddy for looking out for us. The first memory I have when music moved my soul, I was 4 years old. I was convinced that the man who sang "Lean on Me" was my grandfather. Only that voice was so smooth, so black, and so beautiful that it must have been my grandfather. I was shocked when I asked Irma Jean about it one day. When Lean on Me came on the radio and she said, "No, honey, that's Bill Withers singing, not your granddaddy." I settled with it, but clung to the feeling that deep down, if my granddaddy were singing, that's the voice he must have had. Thus, Lean on Me became my childhood anthem. It was a soul song that always made me feel deeply, and I did call on my granddaddy when I needed a friend. I prayed to him, I'd lean on him, I'd hear him on the radio, and today I still hear him, yet this time Irma Jean is with him, and she no longer cries.
Hi everybody, I'm Donna. I'm going to be reading 3 haikus. Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you. Okay, so I feel energy and vibration, so I'm going to speak from the heart, and I'm going to do energy with my hands here too. I'll express myself. Okay. Embrace purple rain. Tongue anticipates droplets, blend of bliss and joy. Okay. This one is called Essence. Blue hues kiss the sky. Rays glow through a tree of life. Embers of beauty. And this one is called Purpose. Joy is a birthright. Close your eyes. Trust in process. Stand in your power. Thank you.
I am Janet Wary. My husband John and I bought a beautiful house in 1981 in Half Moon Bay, and this is a true story about that house, one chapter. It was dark by the time Ann and I arrived. No one else was home yet. I lifted the heavy garage door to let us inside. Ann's only 7, so she quickly bounded past me, carrying her dance bag up the stairs. I meant to follow right away, but I heard something. Someone was walking up there with very heavy steps around the landing. I stopped to listen. I couldn't understand it. It wasn't John. He would have turned lights on. Whoever it was, he was walking around in the dark from the kitchen and back again. I reached for my daughter, but she was already past me. Was she in danger? Should I go up and try to grab her? Should I run to the neighbors for help? As I was wrestling with indecision, Ann let out a little shriek and ran right back down the stairs. "Mom, there's someone in the house." When I heard that, I took her hand and we fled to the car. "Quick, lock the doors, roll up the windows." "My bag's up there. It'll be all right." "Mom, I'm scared. I heard big footsteps, like an adult." "Me too." "What was it?" "I don't know." "Mom, start the car. Let's get out of here. Go." "Dad will be home any minute," I said. I did start the car, but only to move it to a better vantage point. I wanted to watch the house. "Mom, if Daddy is not home in a minute, we'll leave." We waited in the dark. "This is so strange," I said. "I can't figure it out." Finally, John's truck pulled into the driveway. I jumped out of the car and got his attention before he could go in. "I'm so glad you're here. Ann and I heard footsteps. We didn't know what to do. We've been waiting in the car for you. Okay, stay here, he said. I love men. They light our fires and keep us safe and send the demons away from the house. They kill big black bugs for us. I watched as John turned lights on. I think he turned on every one. Soon our house was lit up like a church. It's so beautiful, I said to Ann. I love this house. Mom, get a grip. We're getting robbed. I smiled. In a few minutes, John came out. It's all clear, he said. I checked everything. No one's in the house. Well, someone was, Ann said. He could still be hiding. We both heard him, I said. I heard him first and Ann didn't. And then she heard him too. We both heard him separately. Well, no one's here now. Let's go in. What's for dinner? Something quick, I hope. I'm starved. Tacos, I said. And the boys will be here soon. Come on, I'll light a fire, John said. Well, Ann was setting the table. She said, Dan, the footsteps were right there in the landing, close to where we are right now. What am I going to do with you two? John exclaimed, putting some kindling around the logs in the fireplace and lighting it. I think you two are victims of mass hysteria. It's ready, I said. We've got everything in bowls. Everybody make your own. As we each created a taco to our liking, Ann said, we really did hear something, Dad. I'm sure it's just your active imaginations. No one was in the house. There was nothing, John insisted, adding hot sauce to his creation. What could it have been? Ann asked. We just got back from rehearsal. I think you guys brought a tap dancing ghost with you, John said, chuckling. You mean it was a ghost? No, there's no such thing, he said. I was kidding. He wasn't tap dancing, Dad, Ann insisted, holding a slice of tomato. He was walking, almost running, and he had very heavy footsteps. They shook the floor. This guy wasn't dancing. Just then, Kent and Michael climbed up the stairs and were followed by the two dogs. Perfect, just in time, Michael said. We're hungry. Need any help with anything? No, it's all done. There's more on the stove, I said. I left a little ground beef to mix in for the dogs. As the boys sat down to eat, John said, it's just the house settling. The house is being a house, that's all. There's always a logical explanation for everything. What did we miss? Kent asked. Yeah, Michael said. All the lights in the whole house are on, even the ones in my room. You guys are always telling us to conserve electricity. What is going on?
My name is Shirley Potaz. I am so honored to be here and that we had this opportunity to present to the Arts Council here. What has inspired me was the Atherton Garden Club behind the Woodside Library, just down the street. Behind there are natives of California plants and trees, planted in 1970 by the Atherton Garden Club. The title of my poem is Natives in the Garden. It's a type of poetry that gives personality to poetry called personification. sequoias stand like monarchs in a grove. A semicircle of trunks, all warmed in red bark. Evergreen scepters raised high in the sky, asserting reign over the wind here. All is calm. Minions emerge elated. Monkey flowers bloom yellow petals, like jesters joking in a simple bush. Gitia elliptica relaxes her arms, displaying fancy coastal silk tassels. Acropolis rolls out the emerald carpet, like Sugarbush beginning a big ballet. Oak leaves turn colors. Oh no, too soon. Embarrassed, she drops them all over and then reveals bare branches. Oh. As each plant shares their joy in life, poppies color, strawberry sweet. Succulents enduring the horrible drought. The earth warms.
Good evening. My name is Ricardo Lopez Regalado. I will be reading a poem from a new project, Sangre Without Lines, a book of poetry and short stories dedicated to the hope and faith of our ancestors and their journey. It is titled, We Will. The sounds rising amongst the weary, loud desires to survive. Hot sun burning my body, paining me as I struggle one more day. My arms aching in the same position, holding you close to my heart. I whisper, we will make it. My foot cut by my tattered sandals, my blood mixing with the dry clay. I keep whispering, we will make it. Your soft, innocent voice, singing a happy song, and I tearfully join in. I whisper again, we will make it. Birds above showing us a way. I can hear the water getting closer and closer. You begin to hold on tighter and tighter. My feet now touching the edge of water with stones digging into them. I look to the other side. The birds begin to disappear. I can feel the rise of water. I can feel your arms tighten. I whisper, I love you. We will make it. We will.
I'm still David Rowland. I'll be presenting a chapter of a work in progress about a remarkable person that helped transform a newly transplanted graduate engineer from New York to Southern California. It's called the 1960 Comet. A 7-year-old 1960 comet, Mercury comet, was clearly not the studmobile of a newly graduated professional aerospace engineer, wannabe big city bon voyant. Nor was it a counterculture, anti-establishment, flower-painted hippie mobile. It just seemed like the best way to spend my second paycheck, even if it was just an anonymous pedestrian ride. Totally inappropriate for the nice Jewish boy from Brooklyn that I was. Arriving in Southern California without a car and therefore living in an apartment complex full of geriatrics because it was on the bus route to my work at the Long Beach aircraft plant, I thought any car would open up the promise of the exciting Southern California scene. At this time, Long Beach had the nation's highest median age, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, and I wanted to leave it as soon as possible. I was so naive that the concept of a car loan hadn't even been considered. Both the cars at home, my mother's and my elder brother's, had been bought with cash. That made the ad posted in the company newsletter of an air-conditioned, mostly driven in rust-free Arizona, $400 car with only 90,000 miles on it, an irresistible call to freedom in this alien landscape that covered the equivalent of 3 eastern states and where nobody walked, even 2 blocks to the market. Of course, one of those blocks was the parking lot surrounding the market. And being in a car at least provides protective armor against the elderly old drivers trying to find parking, thereby improving your chance of navigating successfully. More importantly, I could move to a beach community where recent graduates, including some from my alma mater, had established a beachhead. At 22, I'd only been driving 4 years, since New York City's driving age was 18, the same as its drinking age at the time. And I hadn't driven a manual transmission, which the Comet was. Fortunately, I'd driven across country with my now former classmate Rob, also going to California, but just for the summer, as he had fallen a year behind and would be going back in the fall. His 1964 Volvo 122 became the first manual shift I'd ever driven. As you might expect, my first attempt at driving a manual shift weren't particularly smooth. Just starting on a flat street was a herky-jerky experience. If there was the slightest uphill, it would take 2 or 3 tries just to start moving. After a brief introductory drive, Rob hadn't let me drive until we made it over the Adirondacks and were into the flats of the Midwest. In addition to enabling me to drive the Comet, even if its column shift was less precise than the floor-mounted stick shift of the Volvo and the clutch was flimsy, the trip started me on a life events that would change me from the nice Jewish boy into a new and exciting persona that had been my goal on graduating and going to California. I couldn't have guessed how the fates would make me successful. Thank you. Once again, thank you, Tom and Elizabeth, and the Woodside Arts and Culture Committee for inviting us. The Woodside writers meet at the Wordside writers meet at the Woodside Library every Friday from 11 to 1 p.m. All are welcome, whatever their writing interests. We hope we'll see you there soon.
Quite a range of wordage coming from all of you this evening, and greatly appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the next time that we have the Wordside group come and present for us. Now, next month we have something totally different, a little bit of espionage in the family. We have spy daughters growing up with secrets. So I think you'll not want to miss that. And just to end the note regarding writing, Hemingway said, writing is easy. All you have to do is sit down in front of your typewriter and bleed. So thank you for sharing your blood with us this evening. Appreciate it. Thank you. See you next month.